Are you bored of superconduct being a low-tier reaction used only for lowering physical resistance? Well, in the upcoming patch 6.7, Sandrone will come to completely rewrite the meta. As a Cryo Claymore on-field DPS, Sandrone comes with a built-in passive that convert normal superconduct into new reaction called stellar conduct with some absolutely insane scaling. Before we dive into Sandrone's talent explanation, there's a core mechanic that you absolutely need to lock into your mind. Throughout this video, you're going to hear the terms of stellar conduct, polestar field, and the radiant state quite a lot. To clear up any confusion, here is how her core mechanic actually flows. The moment stellar conduct reaction is triggered, the surrounding area will automatically transform into a zone called the polestar field for a short period of time. Then, whenever the active character is standing inside this polestar field, they will officially enter a special state known as radiant stellar conduct. This radiant state will grant various powerful buffs for your character, depends on their ability. Now, for a more detailed breakdown, here is everything offered by the stellar conduct. Just like your standard superconduct, stellar conduct still retains the effect of shredding enemies' physical resistance by 40%. However, the stellar conduct reaction itself doesn't generate any extra damage or additional hits. You could say it basically just changes the font color and damage multipliers, a concept we've already met before in Lunar Bloom mechanic. As established before, triggering stellar conduct reaction will create a zone called the polestar field. If your active character is inside this zone, they enter the radiant status. We truly can't escape circle impact even in the new meta. While inside the polestar field, your character receives a direct stellar conduct damage multiplier scaling from 1 times or normal, moving up to 1.45 times multiplier and capping out at a maximum of 2 times multiplier. On top of that, all party members inside the field will gain a cryo and electro damage bonus starting at 28%, which can scale up to 40%. Now, all of these bonuses, both the direct stellar conduct multipliers, also the cryo and electro buffs heavily depend on the number of stacks you can accumulate, and that is exactly what we are going to break down next. When opponents within the polestar field are hit by cryo or electro attacks, the field will record that attack's instances and then completely release them every 3 seconds, max 12 stacks. This converts the recorded attacks instances into a buff for all characters within the polestar field for 3 seconds. So, to put it simple, within a 3 seconds window, the system will track and record every cryo and electro attack you land. Every 3 hits of cryo or electro attack counts as exactly 1 stack. This stack count will continuously refreshes, aka recalculates every 3 seconds. To see the precise stat conversions and multipliers you get per stack, let's move right into next section. Within that 3-second window, here is the number of stacks you can gather and the exact bonuses you'll unlock. If you're sitting at 0 stack, your stellar conduct damage multiplier stays at 1 times, meaning it's just normal damage, and your team receives 28% cryo and electro damage bonus. Moving up to 1 stack, your direct stellar conduct damage multiplier jumps from 1 times to 1.45 times, and your party members gain 29% cryo and electro damage bonus. Now, if you got 2 stacks, 3 stacks, 4 stacks, and more, you can see on the table here. If you manage to hit the maximum 12 stacks within those 3 seconds, your direct stellar conduct damage will amplified by a huge 2 times multiplier. Also, the cryo and electro damage bonus maxes out at 40%. Keep in mind that your total stack count will constantly refresh every 3 seconds. Honestly, this is just some extra info usually used by theory crafters or players who love calculating and maxing their character's damage. If you're a casual player, you don't need to stress over the math. Feel free to treat this as a trivia regarding how the game handles back-end calculations. For more practical way, simply unleash your cryo and electro attacks as frequently as possible to accumulate stacks. It will optimize your output damage. So, remember the golden rule. Character must be inside that area to unlock their buff and extra multiplier. Now that we've locked down this core mechanic foundation, let's jump straight into her first active talent. Sandrone's normal attack talent is called Formulae Phenomenal. self-evident proposition. For her normal attacks, Sandrone unleashes up to 3 strikes with animations that look pretty similar to Kavi's attack style. Her plunging attack is also standard, just like any other Claymore character in the game. Nothing special about her normal and plunging attack. Now, this is where you want to pay close attention, her charged attack. This is where her main source of damage comes from, and it's exactly where her whole energy bar mechanic begins. When you hold the charged attack, Sandrone will summon her robot named Fagio. Remember this name. At the same time, instantly enters decoding mode, plus creates a bar that measures the decoding power. In this mode, Fagio fires 2 types of attacks periodically. The first one is a continuous attack called Sweeping Fire, which you can see has an animation just like a machine gun. This attack deals cryo damage with a pretty low scaling at 85% per hit at talent level 10. A few moments after Sweeping Fire unleashed, Fagio will discharge an additional laser attack called Condensed Beam. You can see that it looks like a single massive laser blast. It deals damage at 242.25% at talent level 10, and this condensed beam attack deals AoE cryo damage. So far, it might look pretty average with these numbers, but there's a specific rule about elemental conversion. If Fagio unleash their attacks while inside that special field called the Polestar field, meaning they are in the radiant state, that condensed beam laser blast, which originally deals normal AoE cryo damage, will be upgraded to deal AoE cryo damage that is considered as stellar conduct damage, with scaling at 161.5% at talent level 10. Now, even though the scaling looks smaller, since this attack is treated as stellar conduct damage, the final damage output still be huge because there are a lot of multipliers involved here. Plus, stellar damage bypasses the opponent's defense, just like lunar damage. One important thing to keep in mind, only the condensed beam attack converts into stellar conduct damage. The machine gun Sweeping Fire attack will remain as standard cryo damage, even if Sandrone and Fagio are standing inside the Polestar field. And as you can see, while Fagio is firing its lasers, the blue energy bar that measures decoding power will appear. This blue decoding power bar starts at 0 when empty and will continuously increase as you hold the charged attack up to maximum 100 points or 100 stacks to fully fill the bar. At C0, we can unleash up to 3 times of condensed beam until the decoding power bar reach its maximum stacks. So what happens if that energy bar hits the maximum cap of 100? Fagio will enter overheat status, which stops its decoding mode and shifts into another state called Power Overdrive mode. Make sure to take note of this because it is extremely important. If decoding mode is indicated by a decoding power blue bar filling up from 0 to 100, then this overheated overdrive mode will be indicated by a fully loaded decoding power red bar starting at 100 points, which will then deplete down to 0. While in this overheated mode, Fagio's attacks interval slows down, and its attacks can only deal normal cryo damage. It can no longer unleash the condensed beam laser, nor can it use the machine gun Sweeping Fire. You could say this overdrive mode is a penalty, and we definitely don't want to stay in this mode for too long. On top of that, once you're trapped in overdrive mode, Sandrone cannot switch back to decoding mode to build up the decoding power. The only way to break free from this overdrive penalty is make Fagio's decoding power drops below 50 points, basically halfway down the bar. Now, how exactly does the energy depletion work? Her datasheet showed 2 conditions. The first condition is when Sandrone is still active on field, but you stop firing. In this case, decoding power bar will gradually decrease at a normal rate. The second condition is whenever you switch out Sandrone, her energy depletion rate will automatically skyrocket by 300%, which means it drains 3 times faster than its original speed. This system is intentionally designed as an instant cooling feature because she focuses on maintaining Fagio from backstages. Sandrone's elemental skill is called Formulae Phenomenally Differential Analysis. If her charged attack was meant to fill up her energy fuel, then this elemental skill is your primary tool to manipulate and drain that exact energy. The moment you press the elemental skill, Sandrone boards her flying robot called Tea Party Tactical Assault Hovermech for 6 seconds, allowing her to maneuver in any direction. This movement mechanic feels pretty similar to Mizuki's elemental skill. If you hit the sprint or dodge button while flying, Sandrone consumes 10 stamina initially to dash forward and will continuously consume 15 stamina per second to maintain that high-speed hover mode. You could definitely say this is Sandrone's built-in exploration feature. The moment you activate her elemental skill, Fagio's decoding power is also instantly slashed by 40 points. This allows Sandrone to sustain her charged attacks for a longer duration or helps her break free from the overheated overdrive mode much faster. And it doesn't stop there. As long as Sandrone's still flying on her robot, her decoding energy will continuously drain by 10 points every 0.1 seconds, which basically means a whopping 100 points per second. Because of this, it is super important to combine your charge attacks with your elemental skill to prevent Fagio from overheating issues. While you're maneuvering around enemies, Sandrone will automatically summon her prismatic resonance cannon and fire 2 prism shots to nearby opponents. This deals cryo damage with a very low scaling at 58.32% at talent level 10. And once again, our elemental conversion rule applies here. If you are in the radiant state, meaning you're standing inside the polestar field, the second prism shot attack will deal cryo damage that is considered as stellar conduct damage, scaling at 38.88%. As for the other one, the first shot will remain as normal cryo damage. This skill only has 4 seconds cooldown time across all talent levels. It can maintain Fagio's decoding power bar perfectly under control and cleared out any overheat issues. Sandrone's elemental burst is called Formulae Phenomenally QED, which costs 60 energy and has 15-second cooldown. Upon activation, Sandrone bombards the enemies and dealing 3 hits of cryo damage. Each hit has 158.79% damage. Right after this 3-hit attacks, she follows up with a powerful finisher attacks called the Convective Inhibition Ray, which triggers a massive cryo explosion. At talent level 10, the multiplier for this finisher blast is 595.44%. Now, if your Sandrone unleashes her elemental burst while in the radiant state, meaning she's standing inside the polestar field, that finisher convective inhibition ray will deal cryo damage that is considered as stellar conduct damage with a lower scaling at 396.96%. Honestly, all the numbers across Sandrone's 3 active talents might look pretty average, right? But save those numbers for later because they are about to skyrocket into something absolutely terrifying once we look at Sandrone's passive skill. The core passive skill that drives Sandrone's biggest damage spikes is Archaic Calculation Engine. This passive features a mechanic that buffs both her elemental skill and elemental burst, but using 2 completely different calculations. First up is her elemental skill buff. If you press elemental skill while Fagio's decoding power is sitting above 50 points, basically more than half the bar, the second prism shot fired by Fagio will deal 400% of its original damage. So using your elemental skill will skyrocket that second prism shot, which is your stellar conduct damage, by a massive 4 times from its base, while instantly draining 40 stacks from Fagio's decoding power bar to cool down the engine. The second rule controls her elemental burst stack and damage multiplier. Every 10 points of decoding power cleared out via your skill or standard decay, it gives Sandrone 1 stack named Refined Tactics. Each stack possesses a 60 seconds duration, maximum at 10 stacks. When Sandrone unleashes her elemental burst while in the radiant state, meaning you are inside the polestar field, All accumulated refined tactic stacks will be consumed to amplify the damage of her Elemental Burst Finisher Blast, Convective Inhibition Ray. The formula works exactly like this. To put it simply, if you manage to consume the maximum of 10 stacks, you will get a huge 200% multiplier of its original damage, aka 2 times higher when casting your ultimate. If we plug in her level 10 burst with scaling of 396.96%, the final math looks like this: 396.96% multiplied by 200%, which skyrockets to a massive 793.92% stellar conduct damage. That is exactly why flushing out your decoding power bar before hitting your burst is an absolute golden rule. Her next passive skill is called A Lady's Code of Conduct. As long Sandrone is in radiant state, meaning she's standing inside the pole star field, every 100 points of attack she has will increase her own elemental mastery by 8 points, capping out at maximum 160 elemental mastery. This effect is a huge win for your build because it gives free elemental mastery stats to buff her stellar conduct damage. To squeeze out the maximum 160 elemental mastery from this passive, your Sandrone needs to hit at least 2000 attack. Luckily, aiming for 2000 attack is super easy as long you follow the build guide. Her next passive skill is called Light of Rationalism. When Sandrone is in your party, any superconduct reaction will automatically convert it into stellar conduct. Every 100 attack Sandrone has increases the base stellar conduct damage by 0.7%. The maximum increase that can be gained this way is 14%. Just like her previous passive, to fully get that maximum 14% bonus, your Sandrone needs to hit at least 2000 total attack. By reaching that 2000 attack cap, your Sandrone already got 160 elemental mastery for herself, also boosting the entire team's stellar conduct damage by 14%. Finally, we have her fourth and final passive, a Caucus Prelude and a Long Tail. With Sandrone in your party lineup, you'll unlock a sweet utility that drops additional snack rewards whenever you finish up and claim your daily commissions at Catherine's place. Honestly, such a cute passive. Your top priority is leveling up the normal attack talent. Get it to level 10, because the majority of Sandrone's damage output comes directly from her charged attack. Second priority is Elemental Burst talent to at least level 9 or even crowning it. The new adjustment from current beta status was massively make this talent must A built. Third and last priority is her Elemental skill to at least level 8. It has good damage with low cooldown. For energy recharge, just aim for around 110% to 130%. Sandrone has a high on-field uptime. This amount of energy recharge is enough to get her burst ready in every single rotation for extra total damage output. Sandrone's best artifact set is 4 pieces Disenchantment in Deep Shadow. The 2 pieces set gives 18% attack, and the 4-piece effect provides 3 major benefits. The first benefit is an 80% boost to superconduct damage. Even though that number looks huge, this effect is actually useless on Sandrone because she doesn't rely on normal superconduct. The second benefit increases stellar conduct damage by 40%. Now, this is the main reason why Disenchantment in Deep Shadow is her best artifact set. This 40% stellar conduct damage buff will massively boost Sandrone's overall damage output. The third benefit triggers when the character equipping this set attacks an enemy affected by superconduct or stellar conduct, granting a 16% crit rate bonus. Keep in mind that this 16% crit rate won't show up on your character's stats screen, but this is active in the background as long as you're hitting enemies under those reaction status. So, in short, this set is amazing for Sandrone because it packs 18% attack, 40% stellar conduct damage, and 16% crit rate when attacking enemies affected by stellar conduct. Her second best artifact set is 4-piece Gilded Dreams, since this set provides both attack and EM bonuses at the same time. Both of these stats are incredibly useful for scaling your stellar conduct damage, but of course, 4 Gilded Dreams can't outperform 4 Disenchantment in Deep Shadow. But what if I don't have a good Disenchantment in Deep Shadow or Gilded Dreams set yet? For placeholder options, you can run something like 4 pieces A Day carved of Rising Winds, which gives a massive 43% attack boost. For anything else, your remaining options are standard 2-piece mixes like 2 pieces ATAC plus 2 pieces ATAC, 2 pieces ATAC plus 2 pieces EM, or double 2 pieces EM. You also can run 4 pieces Thundering Fury, since it gives a 20% stellar conduct damage bonus while letting you reduce your elemental skill cooldown. Though honestly, the Thundering Fury setup is more of a fun and temporary build. Or if you're a huge Farina fan and you're running her in the team, you can put 4 pieces Marechaussee Hunter as temporary artifact for Sandrone. Just remember, except 4 pieces Disenchantment and Deep Shadow, all of these artifact set are just temporary placeholders. For artifact main stats, go with attack % Sands, attack % Goblet, and crit Circlet. For substat priority, the order goes crit, attack, elemental mastery, and energy recharge. For your final stats, make sure to aim for over 2,000 attack, minimum 60% crit rate, and maximum at 84% crit rate excluding buff. Why we should get crit rate around 60% to 84%. As we all know, aside from ascension bonuses, weapons, and artifacts, there are other hidden sources that can boost your crit rate. What are some examples? Well, in Sandrone's build and her specific team comps, we actually have 2 extra sources of crit rate. First source is the 4-piece passive effect of the Disenchantment in Deep Shadow set that we discussed earlier. This provides you extra 16% crit rate whenever the wielder attacks enemies affected by Superconduct or Stellar Conduct. Second source is, we have the Cryo Resonance team buff from running double Cryo units, which injects another 15% crit rate when you hit enemies affected by a Cryo Aura Frozen status. Going back to our recommended crit rate benchmarks from earlier, let's say your Sandrone has a baseline of 60% crit rate and is equipped by 4-piece Disenchantment in Deep Shadow. On top of that, she's running in a double Cryo team, maybe with Cheeky, Diona, Escoffier, or any other Cryo character. Your final combat math will look like this: 60% Sandrone's crit rate plus 16% from the artifact set plus 15% from Cryo Resonance equals total of 101% crit rate. This technically means you are facing a overcrit condition since it exceeds 100%, but it's completely fine since it's only over by a tiny 1%. Now, what if you're running Sandrone in a team without double Cryo? Simply remove that 15% from Cryo Resonance team buff. The math becomes 60% plus 16% equals 76% crit rate in combat, which is still a highly viable threshold for landing reliable crit attacks. So why is the recommended crit rate capped at 84%? Because if you are playing in a non-double Cryo team, the 84% Sandrone's crit rate plus 16% from artifact will brings you to exactly to 100% crit rate. Every single hit is guaranteed to deal critical strike. This is exactly why a 60% to 84% baseline is the safest sweet spot for your Sandrone's crit rate. If you feel like 76% in combat is a bit too inconsistent, keep farming in artifact domain and push her crit rate stats. If you end up running artifact sets other than Disenchantment in Deep Shadow, you just need recalculate the numbers by yourself. I am isolating this calculation strictly to her signature set, as it represents her best in slot artifact. For crit damage, try to aim minimum at 180% crit damage. Higher means better. For Elemental Mastery, there's no strict benchmark. Aim around 200 Elemental Mastery. Higher means better. Your energy recharge is perfectly fine, sitting around 110% to 130%. Lastly, throw away any elemental damage bonus, HP, and defense stats. They're useless. Without a doubt, Sandrone's best weapon is her own signature Claymore. At level 90 and Refinement 1, her signature weapon provides 674 base attack and 44.1% crit damage stats. The passive effect also crazy, including a 16% attack bonus for the wielder, and on top of that, whenever the equipped character hit an opponent with charged attack, the wielder will gain 20% stellar conduct damage bonus for 5 seconds, which can stack up maximum of 3 times. Each stacks can be gained every 0.2 seconds. It provides a total massive 60% stellar conduct damage buff. If we pair this with her best artifact set, the math becomes. And remember, all these numbers just come from her equipment. We haven't even calculated extra stellar buffs from her own passive skills, elemental mastery, or even team buff. Her second best weapon is 1,000 Blazing Suns. This claymore delivers the highest base attack in the game at 741, paired with an 11% crit rate substat. It comes with a highly valuable passive effect that is incredibly easy for Sandrone to trigger. Whenever the wielder of 1,000 Blazing Suns casts an elemental skill or burst, they instantly gain an extra 20% crit damage and 28% attack for 6 seconds. What makes this weapon amazing is that you can extend this 6-second duration simply by landing normal or charged attacks that deal elemental damage. It's truly a solid weapon choice, and Sandrone can maintain 100% uptime the weapon effects. There's 2 options for her third best weapon. Option 1 is Verdict. This Navia's signature claymore features 674 base attack and 22.1% crit rate stat. Its passive grants 20% attack bonus. However, the rest of its weapon passive are pretty difficult for Sandrone to trigger, and even if you do manage to trigger them, they won't really impact her gameplay at all. The second option is Wolf's Gravestone. This weapon is a solid stat stick for attack bonus. If you're aiming for higher damage, go for Wolf's Gravestone. But if you still need extra crit rate, go for Verdict. Wolf's Gravestone can deal huge damage when its passive is triggered. If we look at the average numbers in real combat, Wolf's Gravestone and Verdict actually have a similar damage output. For the fourth weapon option and anything beyond that, it's going to heavily depend on your Sandrone's current build status and team comp. To make it easier for you, I'll just put the remaining weapon list on the screen, along with some important notes for each weapon. Sandrone has a ton of great team comp options. Honestly, any team that can consistently trigger Superconduct or Stellar Conduct can perform well. As of patch 6.7, her strongest team consists of Sandrone, C1 Yae Miko, C6 Cheeky, and Nicole. Let's break down this specific lineup and explore the few other team options. In this setup, Sandrone acts as your on-field DPS, running the exact artifact and weapon we discussed earlier. Moving to C1 Yae Miko, she plays a dual role as an off-field sub-DPS and a stellar conduct buffer. In patch 6.7, Yae Miko received a buff that allows her to deal stellar conduct damage. On top of that, her C1 has an insane effect. Whenever Yae Miko triggers a superconduct or stellar conduct reaction, or deals direct stellar conduct damage, she grants a 50% electro damage buff and 50% stellar conduct damage buff to the entire team for 8 seconds. This 8-second duration continuously refreshes every time a stellar conduct reaction is triggered. This makes C1 Yae Miko an absolute must-have unit for Sandrone's team comp, giving you 100% uptime buff and great off-field damage. And of course, she's best mommy in MiHoYo universe. C6 Cheeky is the biggest surprise for the current stellar conduct meta. Cheeky steps up as the team's healer and buffer. Even at C0, Cheeky grants a 50% stellar conduct damage buff to the active character being healed by her elemental skill. Also, because Cheeky have an heal ability, this allows Sandrone to use weapon like Tidal Shadow that need heal effect to triggering its passive. Back to Cheeky, at C6, when she unleashes her elemental burst, she provides a type of Quill's stack for stellar conduct damage equal to 600% of Cheeky's attack for 4 stacks. To put it simply, 600% of Cheeky's attack is added straight to your stellar conduct attacks as flat damage. This number then further processed by all the other multipliers in the stellar conduct formula. This creates a huge difference in your overall damage output with C6 Cheeky versus without her. This 600% is currently the largest Quill's mechanic scaling in-game. Since Sandrone, Yae Miko, and Cheeky are scaling with attack, your fourth character is definitely Nicole. Nicole's elemental skill provides a thick shield that make your on-field DPS more invulnerable. Also provides team-wide attack buff that increase your entire team damage. For the detailed build layouts of this team comp, I'll just display them on the screen right now. Moving to her most comfortable team comp, we have Sandrone, C1 Yai Miko, Escoffier, and Nicole. We just replacing C6 Cheeky with Escoffier. Why Escoffier? She's locked in Cryo Hydro team. With this specific team comp, we only got 10% Cryo and Hydro resistance shred from Escoffier's passive, but don't forget that Escoffier is still an incredibly powerful off-field damage dealer who scales with attack. With Nicole on the team, both Yai Miko and Escoffier will be able to pump out massive amounts of damage while they're off-field. Performance-wise, this C0 Escoffier setup is incredibly close to matching the output damage of Sandrone's premium C6 Cheeky team. What if I don't have Yai Miko, Escoffier, and Nicole? They're limited character. Alternatively, you can swap out Yai Miko with C6 Beidou, Escoffier with C6 Diona, and Nicole with Sucrose, which sets up our Sandrone's F2P-friendly team comp. Just like the other supports, patch 6.7 hooked Beidou with a great adjustment, making her a perfect fit for stellar conduct teams. Her C6 utility has been expanded with the following text. While Stormbreaker is active, nearby opponents' electro resistance is reduced by 15%. If the current active party member is in the Radiant's stellar conduct state, the cryo resistance of nearby opponents will be reduced by 15%, while Stormbreaker is active. Additionally, the current active party member's elemental mastery is increased by 200. To pilot this team smoothly, all you need to do is build your Beidou with incredibly high energy recharge so she can consistently spam her burst in every single rotation. By doing that, your team will constantly shred the opponent resistance by 15% while granting a flat 200 elemental mastery to your active character. For detailed builds and other team options, I'll display them on screen. So go ahead and pause or take a screenshot if you see anything you like. Let's take her F2P team as an example. Sandrone, C6 Beidou, C6 Diona, and Sucrose. The rotation starts with Beidou, hold elemental skill. Release it to deal damage and generate particles, then immediately cast her burst so she can catch those energy particles herself. Next, switch to Diona and use her hold skill to create shield, followed instantly by her burst. At this point, the enemies will usually be affected by Cryo Aura. Now, swap to Sucrose and tap her skill to trigger a swirl reaction, and lastly, switch to Sandrone. As soon as Sandrone enters the field, immediately hold her charged attack until her decoding power gauge is completely full, which usually takes about 3 condensed beam laser shots. Right after that third laser blast, use her elemental skill, dash, and immediately go back into another hold charged attack until the bar fills up again. Use her elemental skill, elemental burst, hold charged attack again to fill the gauge. Swap back to Beidou to reset the team rotation. Beidou initiates the setup because her burst has the longest duration among your support units. Additionally, this sequence ensures Cryo Aura is present on the opponents, allowing Sucrose to smoothly execute her swirl application upon entry to the field. This rotation method remains consistent across her alternative team comps. The golden rule is to always set up your support skills and buffs first. Once everything is ready, switch to Sandrone and execute her core combo. Charged attack to full, skill, dash, charged attack to full, skill, burst, charged attack to full. We cast our elemental burst right after the second charged attack and elemental skill combo to ensure that the burst still catches all the team buffs. Different support characters have different buff durations, and some might have shorter duration. That's why the safest choice is unleash your burst right after that second charged attack and elemental skill. Waiting after the third charged attack might take too long, causing some buffs completely expire. Sandrone is a high-tier DPS even at C0. Pulling for her constellations will obviously increase her damage output, especially her C6, which is absolutely broken. For the common question, should I pull for her signature weapon or her C1? The answer is pull for her signature weapon, because Sandrone's C1 doesn't actually provide a significant upgrade. But what if I don't want to gacha on the weapon banner? My luck is terrible and I want to accumulate pity. Can I just vertically invest into her C1 instead? Yes, you can, but strictly under the condition that you already have R1 1,000 Blazing Suns or R5 Wolf's Gravestone. If you don't have either of these two weapons, please pulling for her signature weapon first. Even if you have one of these weapons, but you're constantly swapping it back and forth between other characters, you should still prioritize getting her signature Claymore. If you asking which one should I pull, Sandrone's signature or Yae Miko? As of patch 6.7, if you're aim for the highest numbers, the order goes for pulling Yae Miko and get her free constellation. Second best is getting Sandrone's signature weapon, then third best is getting C1 for Sandrone. In future Snezhnaya arc, Sandrone should get some new stellar reaction support, but with current Yae Miko's kit and damage output, it seems they won't be replacing her with another units, especially in early patches. Let's break down Sandrone's constellations. Her C1 slows down the gauge fill rate during her charged attack by 50%, meaning it charges 2 times slower. This actually prevents Sandrone's robot from overheating too quickly. On top of that, her C1 also grants a team-wide 30% stellar conduct damage buff. Let's break this down. Previously, our rotation consisted of 3 charged attacks plus her burst, taking up a total around of 12 seconds of field time. With her C1, you only need to execute 2 charged attacks plus her burst to hit that exact same around 12-second on-field duration. If you stay on the field any longer than that, your team buffs will usually expire anyway. Because each total on-field time is around 12 seconds, the raw damage output is also to be similar. The primary selling point is that extra 30% team-wide stellar conduct damage. As of patch 6.7, only Sandrone, Yae Miko, and Chiki can fully utilize this extra 30% buff. In theory, Sandrone's C1 is a future-proof constellation. We just need a dedicated support character who can consistently trigger stellar conduct reactions from off-field. Her C2 increases 40% crit damage for condensed beam laser charged attack. Also, each time a beam is fired, the crit damage by all condensed beams fired during this decoding mode period will be further increased by 20%, stacking up to maximum 3 stacks. This means once you've fired 3 condensed beams, you got extra 100% crit damage. C2 is Sandrone's sweet spot if you love to seeing massive damage per screenshot. C3 increasing her normal attack talent by 3 level. This is highly valuable since Sandrone's primary damage source is her charged attack, meaning the main multipliers for her damage output are directly scaled through this specific talent. C4. When Sandrone deals stellar conduct damage, she will also summon an extra prismatic resonance cannon to fire off a coordinated attack which deals cryo damage at 125% of her attack. This damage is considered stellar conduct damage, and the effect can occur once every 4 seconds. This cons act as additional damage with pretty good numbers. C5 increasing her burst talent by 3 level. Elemental burst isn't Sandrone's main source of damage, but it's good for one-shot showcase. This constellation more act as gateway to unlock her C6. C6. When Fagio fires a condensed beam for the 3rd time while in decoding mode, the beam becomes a more powerful named condensed cluster beam that fires continuously. This attack animation similar to Nuvilette's charged attack. This beam will deal up to 4 additional instances of AoE cryo damage at 75% of Sandrone's attack if Sandrone is standing inside the Polestar field, meaning she's in Radiant status. The condensed cluster beam will instead deal 4 additional instances of AoE cryo damage at 80% of Sandrone's attack. This damage is considered stellar conduct damage. Additionally, all stellar conduct damage dealt by Sandrone is elevated by 20%. This elevated by 20% means after all the source of damage are calculated, the final number is multiplied by an extra 20% as a separate bonus. This will massively increase your final output damage. Long story short, Sandrone basically bring a whole new era for Cryo with this stellar conduct reaction. And honestly, the fact that she's already a top-tier DPS, even without a dedicated support at launch, once we enter the Snezhnaya arc, she will definitely be our most picked character for clearing the endgame contents. Just like how in Efa before the Nod Cry arc, Sandrone is the perfect opening character for what's coming next. If you're looking for a future-proof carry, she is the one. So, are you planning to pull for Sandrone, or are you saving your Primogems for someone else in future? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your pulls.
And happy grinding travelers!